So good morning, everyone, and welcome to another one of the Reopening and Recovery Working Group's sessions. Thank you so much for joining. Um, I would firstly, I'd like to start off by introducing myself. So my name is Mikkel Mar. I'm the Director of Organizational Performance and Strategy. I'll be your moderator today. I'm also the staff lead for the Reopening and Recovery Working Group. Today with us, we have Regional Councillor Martin Medeiros for Wards 3 and 4. He is the lead of the Reopening and Recovery Working Group and the host of today's meeting. We also have with us some members of council from the Seniors Support Task Force. So the co-leads are Councillor Pat Fortini from Wards 7 and 8 and Regional Councillor Gurpreet Dillon, who may not be able to join today as he does have another engagement, or he's double booked. We have with us Tina Hickey, who is the staff lead of the Senior Support Task Force, Anand Patel from Recreation, Ed Fagan, the Director of Parks. We have JP Maurice from our Enforcement and Bylaw Services. We have with us as well Alex, the Commissioner of Transit, Catherine from the Emergency Management Office, and we have our regional representatives, Donna Kern and Jennifer, present here to assist with any questions you may have today. We'll begin with some opening remarks from Councillor Martin Medeiros, just to provide a small update on the Reopening and Recovery Working Group and what we've been doing so far. Over to you, Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you very much, Mikkel, and good morning to everyone. And just thank you for joining this meeting. I'm happy to reconnect with you, and very happy to see my colleagues here. And I want to thank them, Councillor Fortini, Councillor Dillon, for all the hard work supporting seniors, especially on the Seniors Task Force. I want to thank you, your organizations, and members for staying patient and resilient during this pandemic. Our community worked together to help control the spread of the COVID-19 virus, and the vaccination drive has already hit milestones. 2 million doses administered in Peel, and 55% age 18 plus are fully vaccinated. That's a great stat. In Brampton, as of early July, my apologies, 34.4% of Brampton residents have received at least one dose, and 33% are fully vaccinated. Vaccination is foundational to our health and economic recovery. We can already see a sense and we feel a more positive buzz in the city. As of July 16th, many indoor and outdoor opportunities opened up, including recreation, shopping, dining, cultural, and art attractions. We're very encouraged with step 3 reopening. We want to support you. You may have questions about specific areas of reopening. That's why we have our experts here today from the region and the city's recreation, parks, transit enforcement, emergency management teams. The guidance from Peel Public Health and the provincial and federal governments will continue to remain important to ensure public safety. And I look forward to today's meeting. If you have any questions after this meeting, feel free to email us at covid19reopencity@brampton.ca. And thank you very much. And I will hand it over back to you, Mikkel.
Councillor Medeiros, it's Mayor Brown here. I just wanted to say a few words as I bounce between meetings. I wanted to say, first of all, thank you, Councillor Medeiros, for chairing the effort when it comes to the reopening of the city. I think we're finally in a great position. Our vaccination levels are the envy of many countries, and that means life's going to get back to normal. And I'm so happy to learn that our senior facilities are being reopened and the programming is going to be back up. I know this has been a really hard year and a half, particularly for seniors. And I see Councillor Santos on the call, who helped with our social task force, Councillor Dillon and Fortini, who helped with the seniors task force. It's really been a team effort, and let's just encourage everyone who hasn't got vaccinated, that's that small minority that hasn't, to do get vaccinated. As I said on our press conference last week with Dr. Lowe, this has really become a pandemic of the unvaccinated. 90% of the current COVID cases are amongst those that aren't vaccinated, and almost 100% of the hospitalizations. So it really shows that if you get vaccinated, you protect yourself and Canada has weathered quite a storm. We're in a great position now. So let's beat COVID and let's get back to normal, Brampton. And thank you, Martin, for giving me an opportunity to say a few words at the beginning of the call.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for taking time from your busy schedule, and I'll hand it back to you, Mikkel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Medeiros. Thank you, Mayor Brown, for your opening remarks as well, and welcome, Councilor Santos. Thank you for joining. At this time, I'd like to pass it over to Councilor Fortini if you have any opening remarks to provide from the Senior Support Task Force. If you have a few things or any words to say at this time. Councilor Fortini.
Yes, thank you, Mikkel, and thank you everyone for joining. And I'd like to thank Mayor Brown for being on there, and Councilor Santos, and thank you, Councilor Medeiros, for all the hard work you're doing for the reopening. So, as Councilor Medeiros said, we have 34% some are vaccinated and 33% are fully vaccinated. But as I walk around the parks, I see a lot of people still gathering. We still got to keep our distance. Wear masks, let's not go into a fourth wave and get a lockdown again. We can't afford that. And, we're trying all our best to do what we can. So as you know, like the city of Brampton is in stage 3 of the province reopening plan. And that means the city services are resuming operation with capacity of some limited capacity. Brampton Corporation Office are now open, but only with appointments based on service only. In-person service walk-in will not be permitted, only with appointments. So online, there's still resources for seniors, including virtual fitness programs, virtual activities. We have still available through the City of Brampton recreation centers. So for the seniors, you could always call in if you want to find out any more information at 905-874-3348 to speak to any program coordinator. So please, let's continue staying safe. I know we're trying to do our best, and I think we're going to get out of this very soon and continue wearing your masks. Thank you so much, Councilor Medeiros and Mayor Brown and Councilor Santos for being on. Back to you, Mikkel.
Thank you so much, Councilor Fortini, and thank you for your opening words there. I'll now hand it over to our regional partners. Today we have with us Donna and Jennifer from the region to provide a quick update on some of the great work that they've been doing on their side. Over to you, Donna.
Thanks, Mikkel. I'll give an update about just the community response table that I know that many of you have participated in and continue to participate in, and we are committed to continue to hosting the community response table virtually. It is now bi-weekly for the months of July and August as the group decided, the attendees decided to scale it back slightly so that people could feel that they could take a break and get some much needed rest and recovery before we approach the fall. So the meeting is bi-weekly now, still on Wednesdays from 2 to 3:30. The other table that I continue to be a couple of tables involved in is the mass vaccination planning table for older adults and seniors, which we brought together with the 3 municipalities as well as citizen representatives. That table does continue, and it continues to be a very valuable table, and we do have Tina sitting at that table with us from the City of Brampton. The municipal meetings continue between the Region of Peel and the 3 municipalities on a weekly basis, and we are continuing with that. There's no plan to scale that back at this point. And I think I will turn it over to Jennifer just to tell us a little bit about our very exciting news as well, that we were able to open our adult day programs last week, finally, after being closed for 16 months. So Jennifer, I'll just ask you to speak a minute on that. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. I I didn't test my sound. You can hear me? Okay, great. So yes, this is exhilarating news for us in the community because our programs have been closed since the beginning of the pandemic. And our adult day services across the 5 centers co-located within long-term care centers have remained closed until last week. And we worked really hard with our public health partners as well as ADS providers across the networks in Mississauga area, as well as in Brampton and Caledon. So basically the boundaries of the region of Peel, to make sure that we're coordinated and collaborating with each other to restart our services and work with each other to help individuals to return to the adult day services as safely as possible. And so we have our 5 centers operated by the region of Peel, and one of them is at Sheridan Villa down in Mississauga, 2 in Brampton, 1 in Malton, and 1 north in the Bolton area. The one in Bolton, we weren't able to open on site yet, but we have plans underway to rent a space in the interim until we can return back to the long-term care center. In the meantime, we're offering porch visits and virtual services continue. So we are collaborating with all of our partners across the ADS networks to try and coordinate access to services that are at a capacity level of about 25% right now. So as we move through the stages of the province reopening, we will be able to increase capacity to our regular capacity. 100% is our goal sometime by the end of this year, so that we can really build on what we've been missing for the past year, and especially in regards to maintaining and improving our access through virtual services. We've learned a lot through the pandemic, and what we know for sure now is that once we have our capacity up to 100%, we can continue to focus on those individuals on our wait list, as well as people who are interested in social recreational activities from the comfort and safety of their own home if they're not able to go into a day program. So thank you very much for your time today. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Donna, for providing that update. We now move to our recreation services, and today we have with us the Acting Director of Recreation Services, Anand Patel, with us to provide an update on what Brampton has been doing from the recreation perspective. Over to you, Anand.
Thank you, Mikkel. First of all, my name is Anand Patel. I'm the Acting Director of Recreation Division. I'm actually representing community services as a whole today. So first and foremost, I wanted to thank you all for your patience and participation as we navigate through these uncertain times. I also have my counterpart, Ed Fagan, on the line. He's the Director of Parks, and he can answer any questions that may arise.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to represent Parks today. As Anand has said as well, we're within community services. Today, Parks, it's sort of Parks as usual. We're still conducting the same maintenance we did previously. Conducting maintenance on sports fields, making sure they're cut, picking litter, and similar business as usual, as even pruning trees, planting flowers and such. We're here to support recreation anyway in regards to programming. And that's really it for the Parks perspective for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. I know we'll give Anand maybe a few more seconds to change his mic before he can provide his update. Anand, sorry.
I also have members from the recreation team, Dave Cooper, who's the district manager of the West, and Chantel and Binu, who work closely with a lot of the groups here. So they'll assist with answering some of the questions. So as we've entered into step 3 of the provincial reopening plan, beginning July 16th, the Bob Callahan Flower City Senior Center has been offering select drop-in programs such as pickleball, table tennis, and badminton. We've built in adequate buffer times in between the programs to ensure a thorough sanitization is completed before the next program starts. Washrooms and change rooms will be cleaned every 2 hours, and we do a deep clean of the building at the end of the day as well. This is consistent across all of our centers. Traffic flow in and out of the building is one way, and once again, we do not have walk-in visits currently. You do have to register, and a reservation is required. Online reservations are available to book on your own, or you can call 311 or call the center directly, and we can assist you with reserving a spot. As the summer progresses and we head into the fall, we will continue to introduce seniors programs in a strategic and safe manner with recommendations and direction from PO Public Health. We're very excited to have our centers back up and running, and we look forward to providing programs with resident and staff safety at the forefront. Once again, if you do have any questions, please email us at recreation@brampton.ca, or additionally, you can call the Senior Center directly during business hours or 311 after hours, and a member of our team will be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand, for providing that update from the community services perspective. As we have a limited time today, so we're booked until 11 a.m. and we do have quite a few questions to get through. Within the invitation, we did send a request for folks to send in their questions before, so we can address them in a systematic way. So we do have about 4 questions that were submitted from folks online today. We can address those directly, and then we can move into a more open session where folks on the phone can indicate that they have a question, and then you can ask your question, and staff will respond to your question. We also have a chat box where if you feel the need to type your question in there, you can type your question in the chat box. We'll read the question and then respond to the question at the appropriate time. If we are unable to answer any questions today, please feel free to send us an email and we'll respond to your questions and ensure that you have the responses in a timely manner. So with the first 4 questions, I believe, Councillor Medeiros, you do have those questions. If I can hand it over to you to maybe put forward the first question. Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you very much, Mikkel. So the first question that we have, I believe, was regarding the seniors games from Vanna Chim. I played badminton on reopening day. I heard so many participants complaining registration online or call 311, plus many of 55 plus still working, and last session is 5:15. It's very difficult for them. Is it possible to open one more session after 6:45?
So I believe this question is a question directed towards recreation, and it's around opening times for badminton sessions for seniors.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mikkel. I'll take this one. So Vanna, yeah, definitely we are working with the team to expand programming online. The timing of the programming at the center. So with your question, I've actually reached out to our team, and you'll be happy to hear that we are going to expand and have some late sessions. We'll try them, and if participation is there, we'll continue. So to answer your question, absolutely, we'll work with the team. If you give us a couple of days, thank you, Janine. If you give us a couple of days to plan and staff it up, we'll definitely have that lined up. So if you want to reach out to the center, probably by Wednesday or Thursday, we'll have some updates. You can also check online, and you'll see slots open up for the later session. So it will start after the 6:45 time slot.
Thank you so much. I'm Vanna, which is my request. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next question is from the Knightsbridge Seniors Club from Wanda Menge. Actual opening date for Knightsbridge and the date we would have to start paying rent. Since we are a nonprofit, and if we cannot run a majority of our activities and events, could we get a break on the rent for a while? We may have to offer our members free membership. Would that not be a consideration? Snack bar, a good source of our operating income, and we may be unable to run it since there will be too many restrictions. Therefore, we're unable to recoup some more of that lost revenue.
Thank you, Councilor Medeiros. So I believe this question is also to you again, and it's around what considerations the city is making for some of these groups.
Thanks, Mikkel. From a rent perspective, Wanda, let's connect offline. I know you do talk with Chris regularly, so maybe we can sit down and talk through that and see what options there are. Obviously, I'd have to take that up to Flagpole and make sure that we're compliant and aligned. But we are planning to, when I say technically open the centers, Labor Day was the target for us to get back to what our quote unquote normal operation would be. So there is a buffer time between now and Labor Day when we will do spot bookings in some of our centers and slowly work our way up to that full-fledged operation. So I know that you do run a pretty robust program and you're in contact with Chris Hogg regularly. So let's continue this conversation offline once we get a better idea of what activities you'll be able to offer. And then we can kind of go through the details and work with you and your group to see how we can ease you back in. The snack bar piece is an absolute great question. We have snack bars across the city in some of our other centers. We've decided not to open the snack bars in the buildings until the fall as well. To your point, it doesn't make sense to open them when the traffic isn't there really. So we'll work out a plan with you. We'll take it offline. So Councillor Medeiros and Mikel will work with Wanda and the group at Knightsbridge to build a plan up for the fall.
Yeah, thank you. Chris has said that she will get back to me when she gets home from vacation, and hoping we can sort some stuff out. It is kind of awkward. I don't know if any other seniors clubs are in that position, but we do run, a full program, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we will work with you certainly. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, Wanda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would suggest you also involve Councillor Fortini. I know Councillor Fortini is very involved with Knightsbridge.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so I think he'll be able to help. Our third question of the day from David Racharnam, and sorry, David, my pronunciation, but it's great to see you. And a group I have a lot of respect for, Brampton Tamil Senior Association. So according to newspapers, as of Friday 16th today, only 54% of adults had both, and about 60% only had one vaccination. Now, removing all social distancing, including not wearing masks, may increase the infection rate. Same as UK and Netherlands. Brampton was one of the most affected areas a few weeks ago. So opening as other less affected, which part of the country may have impact on Brampton? What steps have you taken or are you going to take to prevent this?
So thank you, Councillor Medeiros. I believe this question could be a combination of recreation and enforcement. So maybe we'll start with enforcement with regards to what steps were taken to, keep people safe within our facilities and around our facilities.
Thank you for the question. The steps that we've taken, obviously, is we updated the Brampton mask bylaw, which is in effect to ensure that the residents are wearing the masks indoor and outdoor, depending on the activities they're conducting. So that's one aspect that we looked at. We're continuing to work with the community and educate the public when it comes to the Reopening Ontario Act, Stage 3. There's a lot of discussions, and people are confused sometimes as to what they cannot do and the capacity limits in different places. So we work closely with the residents, educate the public, and let them know what they are permitted to do when it comes to either recreational sports facilities, personal fitness, and so on and so forth. So we encourage people, obviously, to participate in various activities, doing it safely by wearing masks and ensuring that they follow the advice of medical health officials through public health. And we work closely with our partners with parks and recreational to ensure that our enforcement aspect of it is primarily educational. Especially when we move to Stage 3, we want to help our residents to ensure they understand the law. But primarily, the mask is still a requirement for the most part. The 2-meter distance is still an aspect that must be adhered to, whether it's in outdoor or indoor.
Thank you, JP. Is there anything Recreation would like to add to in response to the Brampton Tamil Seniors Association question? Anna or Ed?
Yeah, I can add from an indoor perspective, and then if there's anything else, Ed or Dave, if you guys want to add on. So we're not removing the social distancing measures by any means. We're still having masks mandatory indoors, except when you are participating in a physical activity. So if you're playing badminton, your mask can come off. but once you exit the court, you're required to put it back on. When you're in the common areas of the buildings, once again, masks are required. We have signage within the building, the programs we're running, and this goes back to the strategic approach of slowly reintegrating and opening our programs. The programs we run are allowing for physical distancing. We haven't opened up programs where we're sharing equipment per se, cards and different smaller rooms in small capacities. We're kind of focusing on the big programs right now, the programs that naturally allow people to distance, pickleball, badminton, that naturally allows you to distance, and then we'll slowly move in towards the other traditional programming that we've done. So we have signage across the building. We've got decals on the floors. We've worked on the traffic flow to minimize the crossover. There will be crossover, but to minimize it within the buildings as well. And as I mentioned, we do some electrostatic cleaning and some other heavy duty cleaning of touch points throughout the day as well. So those are a few things for the indoor portion.
Okay. Thank you. And then actually we can hear you much clearer now. So don't know what you did, but you sound you're coming through loud and clear. I'm not sure if David is on the line. David, yes. Sure.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much for your answer. But one thing I like to inform you at the moment, last Sunday I just dropped into Singunsi Park and I was shocked to see there 90% of the people were without mask. And there were no social distancing. Everyone was gathering and moving around very socially. So these are things that may, I think, better if the city can look into. Anyway, as far as indoors are concerned, when we meet, we'll try to stick to all these restrictions. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you, David, very much. Our last question that we have written to us was Rosedale Village, and it was from Coldwell Banker Real Estate Management Leaders, Paulmina Macari. We are property management firm managing the Rosedale Village community in Brampton, and we'd love to hear the reopening plan to assist us with reopening of our clubhouse recreation center. And this is, I guess, I imagine a touchy one because I believe Rosedale Village is a private entity, but Mikkel, do you have any thoughts on this?
So thank you, Councillor Medeiros. We did briefly discuss this question. I think, Anna, if you have a response for the Rosedale Village.
I do. So I can take a stab, and I'll pass it off to Dave Cooper to get into some of the details. So we'd be happy to set up a call and go through some of the best practices that we've employed across the city that you can then mimic at your center. The provincial guidelines are online. We've stuck to the Ontario regulations and really work closely with Peel Public Health. But I'll hand it off to Dave Cooper, who's the district manager of the West, and he can go through some of the details of what we've really done in the buildings from a operational perspective as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Anand. I think really what we've done too is reduce the amount of equipment indoors, either by removing equipment from space or making it or blocking it off so it cannot be used. We've reduced our room capacities. We've staggered start times for programs, including buffers between booking times for cleaning and sanitizing, monitoring traffic into the buildings, one way in, one way out, ensuring everybody that comes into the facilities is registered in a program, or we're capturing them through our ambassadors at the doors for contact tracing. Again, we have registered time slots per program. And again, increased cleaning of all touch points, common areas, and washrooms. We deep clean at the end of the day to ensure we're ready for the following day. So as Anand said, our team would be happy to set up a call and work with the Rosedale Village as well.
Thank you so much for your response. And thank you, Councillor Medeiros, for bringing forward the questions that were submitted from the seniors groups on the call today. Before we open the floor up, I'm just looking through our chat box, and I do see a lot of activity there. Mayor Patrick Brown is very optimistic. We're almost done the pandemic. Let's keep it up. And we have great vaccination numbers. I do see also Councillor Santos very much looking forward to seeing everyone in person soon. we'll keep these vaccination numbers up. There's a question in our chat box right now from Linda Malcolm, and Linda is asking, is there a plan to hold senior council meetings even virtually? And Linda, I'd pass it over to you if you could kind of expand on the senior council meetings. Are you referring to our age-friendly committee? Please go ahead, Linda. Linda Malcolm, you are able to unmute yourself and ask your question if you.
Yes. Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, yes, I am a senior council representative from our Probus group, one of our Probus groups. And our Probus group has been conducting meetings virtually all year. And we're always interested in hearing what's going on with the Brampton Council, as was before. So just wondering if that can even be conducted virtually.
Linda, that's a great question. I'm not sure if we have anyone from the clerk's office online today, but I can most certainly take your question back and send you a response. Linda, I believe we do have your email. We will be able to respond to that. I'm not sure, Councilor Madero, says you have your camera on.
Yeah, thank you. So regarding the Seniors Council, I sit on the Seniors Council, myself and Councilor Keeney. We've had already virtual meeting with the Seniors Council. So maybe offline we can send the coordinates and information about our next meeting so you can participate.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
It's Linda Nazato here. When there's an opportunity, I have a question.
Thank you, Linda, and that's great because right now we're in that open session. So feel free to ask your question.
I think my question is probably for Anand.
Okay.
First is a personal side about booking rooms. I'm sitting on a request list to try and book a room for a celebration of life for my late husband, and wondering when they will actually start the bookings. And also, I'm the president of Oatsler's Peel Memorial Hospital Retirees Group, so we need to have some idea about room bookings for when our group feels safe to, resume in some altered fashion. So I think it's probably Anand to answer these questions about the room booking.
Sure. Thank you, Linda. And I noticed there was another question in the chat that I'll address briefly right after that. So for the formal, I'm going to call them seasonal bookings. So if we had every Tuesday at 2 o'clock for the rest of the year, those bookings we're planning on slotting in after Labor Day. From the civic holiday to Labor Day, we're going to do what we're calling spot bookings. And I think that aligns with the celebration of life that you mentioned right now. Now, the one thing that we are working through is room capacities. We've been given some guidelines to say that we can get up to 50% of what the occupancy load is for the building, for the room, or how many people can physically distance. So we're working through the capacities to see how many people can fit in some of our rooms. Traditionally, we could have had a meeting of 20, and now that may be only 7 people that can fit in the room per se. So we're working through those. The bookings will open up on the day after the civic holidays, so August 3rd or 4th. I apologize, I don't have the exact date. But right after civic holiday, we're going to start some spot bookings. And then the seasonal, traditional, regular, historical bookings, as somebody has mentioned in the chat, those would start after Labor Day. So our group will reach out to you. If you had the time historically, we're definitely going to reach out to you to make sure and see if those slots are still you have an appetite to bring your groups back at those times, and then we'll open them up for more groups or other groups that would like to use different rooms. I also do understand that there's groups that have used smaller spaces for larger numbers, and now we're in a situation where everybody would want to be in the larger rooms. So we'll sit down and talk through what the capacities look like and work with all the groups individually.
Thank you, Anand. That answered both my questions. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Anand, for your response. We do often get questions about transit and what Brampton has been doing with regards to transit and how that relates to seniors and the public in general. We have our commissioner from Transit Online. I'm not sure, Alex, if you would be able to provide a brief summary on what we're doing from the transit side.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mikkel, and good morning, everyone. As we come out of the pandemic and part of the recovery with the numbers that are coming down, and as I hear quite a bit about the rec centers opening up more and more, a lot of our seniors do take public transit to and from these centers and for other appointments. We are gearing up. Our mayor and council have approved a free seniors for residents within Brampton. And I know that our staff have been taking online applications, and I just want to make sure everyone's aware of, we're planning on sometime in November, and it will be announced through the different outlets once we confirm the exact date. But once you have a identification that is available online, if you have one already, you can renew it. We will talk about the program and how you can take advantage of riding public transit for free if you're a senior and you're a resident of Brampton. And that's something we plan on implementing sometime in November. So I think that'd be just a good added item to bring up here. And thank you, Mikkel, for allowing me to talk about that briefly, to allow for seniors to be able to use public transit as a part of the recovery as well.
That's great, Alex. Thank you so much for your update on what we're doing for transit during this time. So, I'll open the floor up again if there's anyone that has a question. Now is a good time to unmute yourself and ask your question to staff. And we also have regional representatives here.
It's Phil Bissell with Flower City Probus. Wondering about Century Gardens, the internet service that is available there. Is that a strong enough service to be able to support one or multiple sessions into a Zoom meeting or not? And if not, will you consider upgrading it so that it is?
I can start on that one, Mikkel. I'm hearing an echo.
Phil, if you wouldn't mind muting your mic. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah, so Century Gardens, we do run some of our virtual programming from there as well. So I don't see an issue with a couple Zoom meetings running from Century, but we could get you in and do a quick test. We can set something up, or I can have my staff on site double check, and if there are issues, then we can either relocate or work with our corporate IT team to see if there's some upgrades that are needed. But most of our buildings, if not all, have adequate internet setup and signal throughout the buildings.
Thank you, Anand, and thank you, Phil, for your question. I see a question in our chat from Rajarat with regards to social gatherings in our parks without masks and social distancing. It should be noted, even though parks are open spaces, the washrooms are inside buildings. So Rajat, if you could unmute yourself and ask your question, or give us a little bit more clarity on what specifically you're asking here.
Yeah, I'm Roger too, but I have not put this question. I don't know how it has come on to me, on my name.
It says Rajarat number 2. So it might be another person.
Someone else, maybe someone else.
Okay, I'll give that person an opportunity. Did you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I asked a question. Actually, I'm from Brampton Tamil Seniors. I'm coming under Rajrat. The question is, if you allow 50 people, 100 people in a park for social gathering, and the time they're going to use the washroom, they are going to be inside the building? So is it going to be they're going to wear a mask when they go inside the building, or are they allowed to be in the park without a mask or without social distancing? It's not clear whether you can gather in a park without a mask or with a mask.
Thank you so much for your question. JP, would you be able to provide some clarity on the question from Rajarat?
Yes, thank you for the question. In terms of the organized public events, we know that 25 people are allowed indoor and 100 people outdoor. So that goes for social gatherings and organized public events. So if you were to gather outside, if you cannot maintain 2-meter distance between those are participating, mask is required. So we obviously recommend that masks should be worn all the time, unless you're in some sort of physical activity that you're participating in personal fitness or training. If you go indoor to use the washrooms, mask should be worn to prevent and minimize the transmission, the risk of transmission. So hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rajat, for your question, and thank you, JP, for responding to this question. I'll open the floor again. I do see a user, Paul-Acer. I think you were trying to ask a question previously, but you weren't able to. Sorry, yes, we can't hear you. If you would be able to unmute your system there. Would IT be able to assist with unmuting
Yes,
user?
just one.
Sure. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, user Paul-Acer.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
we can hear you now.
Okay. I have two questions. One for bylaw enforcement. I live in an apartment building and people think now they can go without masks. Who do we contact to make them aware that they have to have masks?
I believe that question is directed towards our bylaw representative today, JP.
Thank you for the question. Yes, with regards to common area of an apartment building, masks are still required to be worn. If you have a complaint where individuals are not wearing their mask within the common area of the apartment building or the lobby, the first step should be to contact the property management to see if they can first identify who the individuals are, have that conversation. We've seen property management sending letters to the owners of or renters to let them know that masks are required. If it at all fails, certainly you can call 311. We'll have an officer attend. A lot of times individuals are already gone or have gone to their apartments. It's difficult for us to enforce. But having said that, it's certainly your last resort would be to calling us. We can have that conversation with property management, the owners, and see if we can assist with educating the public. And some may or may not know that they're required to wear the mask while in the common area of an apartment building.
Okay, thank you. The other one is for Anand. I am on the executive of the Brampton Lawn Bowling Club. We held monthly meetings at the senior recreation center that is now being used for COVID testing. Can we, starting after civic holiday, could we book a room at the senior center, the actual building designated for the senior center, Flower City, for our monthly meetings?
Yes, so I'm going to try turning my camera on too, so wish me luck. So how many people are in the meeting? I guess that's the first question I'd like to ask.
Well, we wouldn't have more than about 7 people there.
Okay. So if it's not in I'm going to call it the main building, we do have an admin space on the other side that is across the lawn bowling facility right now. So I can work with Dave Cooper and Chris Hogg on site to figure out a temporary accommodation because we do have testing on site. So absolutely. We also may have access to some of the building.
So we could just contact Chris?
Yeah, if you're already in contact with Chris, then absolutely. I know she's on vacation, so she's back on Monday. But we can definitely work with the group in either in the main building or in Building E on site. We'll be able to facilitate there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have opened the lawn bowling club up, which is absolutely wonderful. But we are not allowed in the main building to use the washrooms. Is this a public health issue?
So I'm going to have to talk to, or if Dave Cooper has any detail, because I know he was working with the club on access into the building. That was to get equipment. But for the washrooms, Dave, do you have any details if we've made accommodation or if there's an ability to use the washrooms in the main building as an alternate?
So
Yes, I think.
Should they not have supplied us with a porta potty or something?
Yes, we can do that for sure. I think it was just a comfort level of Patrick, I think, of admitting people into the building where there was a testing center. As it stands, they're actually not doing any testing, I think, the nights that you guys are there. So we could make some concession to be able to utilize the washrooms as well. But either way, we'll get a portalet or we'll figure out something for utilizing the washroom space.
Okay, because there's an easy way of blocking them off so people can't go into the main building if you have to.
Yes, for sure. We'll make something work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions. I see another one more question here in our chat box. Will there be a written report/document that lays out all the regulations for the seniors clubs having 300 members who were signed up in March 15th, 2020? They'll need to be contacted and making them aware of reopening date, rules, regulations, etc. So I think this may be another question for you, Anand, with regards to are there any written reports or documents that are in the works or are ready to be sent out to seniors clubs?
So it's going to be a little bit unique, Wanda, depending on the club and the use. So if you have a badminton club versus a club that plays cards, there are some rules and regulations that are different for each. I can work with the team to see if we can get a generic, starting point as far as regulations goes. But I do have Chantel McDonald on the line as well, and Binu, and they'll take it offline and maybe work with you directly on coming up with a generic starting point, and then we can work with you as well on contacting all of the clubs. So we have been in contact with the clubs, so we will send out some information on starting points and the civic holiday or the day after civic holiday for some spot bookings, and then Labor Day for full bookings. So we'll work on something there, Wanda.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm just very concerned about the people at One Knightsbridge who are the subsidized housing folks, and they're constantly in Knightsbridge. They come in and out of Knightsbridge constantly. They're in there for the snack bar and stuff like that. So I need to get them aware that they can't just walk in, without masks and without protection, and that the snack bar is not going to be available to them immediately. Just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if it's addressing a subsection, then we can do something catered to the subsection. But we'll also work on just the generic overall rules because we all read different things and see different things. But we work closely with Peel Public Health and JP and the team in bylaw and enforcement as well. So we'll kind of pull some of the key points together for you as a starting point, and then we'll have Binu or Chantel reach out to you with Chris as well.
Yeah, I know Councillor Fortini's been helping me with the subsidized housing people too. He realizes that there's a lot of stuff there that needs to be broadcast to them, and let them know about all the details. Thanks very much.
Absolutely, no problem.
So thank you, Anand, and thank you, Wanda, for your question. I'm looking at the time. It's 10:54. I know today we only had an hour, but as I said at the beginning of the meeting, if you do have any questions that you were unable to ask, or if you think of something after our meeting today, please feel free to send us an email. We'll be providing that information to you momentarily. So with that said, we have about 6 minutes. I'd like to pass it over to Councillor Medeiros, who does have a few closing remarks before we conclude today's meeting. Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank everyone for being here today, and hopeful that this was helpful in terms of providing more information. And again, this is not the end of all these type of sessions, and this is not the end of all conversations and questions. I know a lot of the times that we go away and we'll have other questions and other thoughts, and staff are always available, and I want to thank staff for their fantastic work, especially during COVID. They really stepped up. Everyone who's on here taking time to provide us and track down the information we need. So we thank them, and I thank everyone who attended, took out time to be with us today, and look forward to seeing many of you in person. And thank you once again, and a special thank you to Mikkel for organizing this today. And thank you very much, and to my colleagues, Councillor Fortini, Councillor Santos, and Mayor Brown for having the opportunity to come. And I know Councillor Dillon is he would like to send his best wishes as well. So back to you, Mikkel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councillor Medeiros. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you to a special thanks to our regional partners who were able to join us today and provide the perspective of some of the work that they're doing on the regional side, and all staff, councillors, mayors, for all supporting our seniors groups through this time. And to everyone on the call today, again, thank you very much. Please continue to follow us on our website, www.brampton.ca/COVID-19, for any updates regarding our reopening and recovery efforts. I'd like to thank everyone again for your time. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekday.